mean, Susie, if the Hollywood Scouts start coming and asking you to sign up for movies, don't be surprised, but it was great.
French or two.
She's got great, this girl.
Yeah, it's great. Perfect. What I would like to do, and you can both be in it if you want, is we have the private group that you talked to last time for a couple minutes after the main show. And that's a totally non-censored, interactive environment. And I like inspiring guests to come after the main show part and just share whatever you would like to share with a group of people that are already really interested in what you're doing and in consciousness particularly, as well as physical health. So and right now, you know that one of the big challenges is people have some awareness of what's going on in the outside world, which is not totally friendly. And there is a movement working against consciousness to try to enslave and exterminate life. Basically, that's the bottom line. And it took me 20 years to understand that, but that's what they're doing. And light and consciousness are always stronger than darkness, but they have to wake up to be able to appreciate that. So for people that are concerned about the darkness that's growing in the outside world, you know, what would you say to be the best internal work to get strong enough to come through that in good shape?
Well, very few people believe in anything these days because they're going from one shot to the other. It's like a traumatized base of one thing after the other, and so they're becoming numbed and dumb. One of the big things that I'm looking at is the focus of being, and this is the second book that I'm writing, From Seeing to Being, the empowering focus of presence. Over the centuries, we've become able to do various things and have various tasks and functions, all valid, noble, in the right way, if applied correctly. But very few people know who they are. And this is a sad thing because this negates any higher level. You know, I say it this way, the majority of people are subject to their emotions. They're not sovereign with them.
That's right.
In other words, their EQ is very, very low, and that's not having a shot at anybody. It's just it hasn't been developed. It doesn't mean to say it can't. But when you become sovereign with your emotions, you are able to use the emotions in such a manner that if EQ is on IQ, you are on Q. And then that can also bring you to another level of the spiritual aspect of things, because breath itself is like just light is particle and wave. I look at breath, and hence the word spiritus, the Latin, which means breath, where the word spirit comes from. But what's its counterpart? It's the flow of consciousness. How many people have the flow of consciousness, but yet in a state of stillness? Not many. And I'm saying that not to have a shot at anybody. On the contrary, I'm still going through this. We're all sharing this journey together.
Yeah, we're just students.
We're all learning, and we share this with each other so that we uphold one another, you know. Unfortunately, there's just too much churchianity around today, and as a result, what happens is that people get turned right off. The true spirituality is not religion. The true spirituality is relationship and revelation.
Right.
Because if you're not getting signs and wonders following, and that's not just with word, that's also with action. It's like practical things that I did with Susie. She didn't know what was going to happen today. Guess what? I didn't too. We went in. We didn't know what was going to happen, but she was happy to put her hand up and say, okay, I'll do it. Thank you so much. That was half an hour before the show began.
That's a demonstration of how to relate to life in general, isn't it?
You know, you've got to be in the moment. If you don't trust the moment, it's not going to happen. And I think a lot of people just back off because they've been so hurt in so many different ways. And that's sad, but it's to be gentle with them, but to uphold them in such a manner to enable them to bring forward the qualities that are within their own being, whether they know them or not. And this is an exciting thing. You know, I've started a show with a particular lady who was a famous singer in Australia on Young Talent Time many years ago. And we're creating the house that breathes, and we're bringing people in, not that we're guiding at the moment, but we're bringing in, and you might be interested in this, Richard, I don't know.
Sure.
Because we're all from all walks of life. We can all contribute to an extended world community. It's not just about, I know, you don't, I'm going to tell you. We all know. But how do we do it such that it's a conversation rather than a debate and an argument? How do we do it that we find a common ground that is supportive of you and me and everybody else, and that we all come to it together? This is what is really, really amazing. And we had an amazing scenario last Thursday night where that conversation, those 2 hours went like 20 minutes. That's quite amazing.
It sounds great. Yeah, we should learn about how to do that in touch with each other for sure.
Yeah, that would be great.
And you mentioned EQ, emotional quotient, I think is what it stands for, right?
Yes, indeed.
And I think you're talking about the difference between the emotions controlling you versus you controlling them as a creative function. So that if it's not just a thought with no feeling behind it, it's the thought for structure, and then the feeling gives it life. And that can actually create things that turn up as what they call real life situations.
Absolutely.
Which could change anything.
You know, I look at faith, you know, we could say it in as much that it is being in the moment, it's being in the now. You're not behind, you're not ahead, you're absolutely present in the now. And it's the unseen, but it becomes seen as you trust in it. You don't react, you respond. And your response is not just from past history, that's a reaction, but rather you're prepared either spontaneously and or considered to bring forward the new. That's the creativity, that's the so-called quantum leap, that's the discontinuous leap. That's the ability even to surprise oneself to think, wow, I did that, or we did that. That's amazing. Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah. And then you realize all the problems and bad situations that we blamed on everybody else, we actually had a hand in all of it.
Yep.
Which is great, because it means we can do the opposite.
And that's the confrontation, as I call it in my vernacular. Spin the energy the other way, but you can only do that by being in the now. Right time, right place, time-space coherence, boom, it's happened. How did you do that? There's no luck. You were there in the moment.
Yeah.
And did it from that moment. In the twinkling of an eye, in that atomos, in that moment, there's the fractal, there's the hologram of absolute potentiality you were talking about before. It's there, and it's ready to be, it's untapped, unlimited energy that Tesla was talking about as he expressed it in his. It's there.
Yeah, exactly. And that's nothing compared to what's inside a human being. I mean, they said that inside one atom is enough latent energy to recreate the whole universe. But a human being is much beyond that.
Yeah.
Anything.
Well, we've been made wondrously.
Yeah, exactly. We haven't even begun to see it. So
we're just starting, I hope.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully we're in time, and we should pay attention. Yeah. So, okay, that was great. Thank you both. And as soon as we get the recording and the archive of the broadcast, we should give it to both of you to share with whoever you would like to share it with.
Would love to do that. And I'm sure, Susie, I hope it's been fun for you too.
Yeah, you didn't know you were getting into the broadcast business, but now. So, and yeah, great.
Yes.
And let us know how your project goes. Yeah, for everybody. And maybe there's a way we can be part of or help with your new program that you're doing too.
Thank you. That would be fantastic. And I'm more than happy to. Well, anyway, we'll talk about it at the appropriate time.
Talk about it later. Okay. And if somebody wants to find out about a consulting appointment with their doctor and you, and them getting the benefit of that interaction, how do they get in touch with you for those things?
Yeah, on the website, you'll be able to, there's contact details.
Okay.
Info at Optics.
Okay, perfect. That'll do it. Thank you.
I think that's great. That's good.
All right. We'll talk to you both soon.
Yeah, have a great evening.